What's going on, everyone? So, from the opening moment of From, obviously not counting the family being attacked, but from the moment we got the Matthews family, um, Ethan was relaying and talking about, stories and, being a hero's journey and all that stuff. And he has time and time again throughout these first three seasons relayed information that kind of just sounds like a kid talking, just kind of sounds like a kid blabbering, but it continues to remain and reign true, right? I mean, from again the hero's journey, and you got to go on this quest, and you see his mother end up doing that, right? And he's talked about he's giving you bits and pieces of what is going on without really going on, right? Without telling you the entire story. And it makes sense. Like, people have all kinds of theories now. Is he the boy in white, right? Is he the reincarnated version of the boy in white? It does make sense that there is some connection between him and this place, simply on the fact that his mother is the reincarnated version of Miranda, and so on and so forth. You go all the way down through the lineage of FROMVILLE, that, Ethan very likely has some type of premonitions or sense of what this place is. I mean, Julie's a story walker, right? So it would make sense that everybody has in that family like some type of connection to this place. I mean, Jim, obviously he's met his end, or as far as we know, he's met his end. I know people theorize about that, but even Jim had the knowledge, right? Not about this place, but he was the guy, the engineer. He was the guy that gave the solution for what the bottle notes were and all that stuff. Oh, they're musical notes, right? Like, everybody's played a point and a purpose, and everybody's had these sort of missions, even Jim to an extent. And Julie now is going on her own mission as the story walker. Well, how do we find out she was a story walker? Oh, because Ethan relayed, and she talks about like, oh, can I go back? And Ethan explains, like, no, you can't. Like, once the story is written, that's it. That's not how story walking works, right? And he literally not only is telling Julie, but he's telling the audience. And he's doing that regularly. Ethan is constantly saying and giving pieces of information relayed to whoever he's talking to in the moment, but it's also to the audience. It's just portrayed and created in this way to where it kind of feels like, oh, okay, like, he's just talking. He's a kid, right? But no, if you really listen to what he's saying and then watch how things kind of play out and develop, he's usually spot on, right? Like, to a point. And got to remember, this is the same people that created Lost, same people that created like The Walking Dead and stuff like that. And you know what some of those shows had? Somebody that relayed something in the beginning of the show that actually ended up being true and tied in all the way at the end. And I think Ethan is very likely that character. I think Ethan is that guy that is constantly saying and giving you bits and pieces of information that is very integral, is very important to the overall story. It's not just child talk. It's not just make-believe. Whether he's doing it directly, like he knows, and he's just not relaying that information, or he's doing it indirectly where he's just, maybe it is child talk, but it's through sort of this connection that he has to this place, right? Another kind of thing is that, like, he's never scared, right? Like, he has his fearful moments because he's a kid, but he's usually pretty calm, cool, and collected for a little kid living in a place like FROMVILLE, right? I mean, even with Julie, when he was going to go on the road, he had no idea what to expect. He didn't know what was going on, but he knows, like, hey, this is my sister's journey. This is her path. This is the hero's quest that she has to take, right? Let's do it. Let's go. I think that is something very important. And a lot of people, look, I've talked about it in the past. I know other people have talked about it in the comments, and I'm sure other YouTube channels and stuff like that have mentioned it as well. But like, there is this kind of sense that maybe Ethan is kind of the cause for this place. That Ethan, maybe it's one of his stories, or it's in his mind, or he created it that way. People have said the same thing about Victor. But there also are those parallels between Victor and Ethan. And Ethan, I genuinely believe he is much more knowledgeable than what he's giving credit for. I think he's really telling us, he's kind of the narrator of the story, without really narrating the story. That makes sense, right? Like he's telling you what's coming, how things are going to happen, right? Tells you, oh, you're a story walker, but you're never going to be able to change the story. Boom, like literally moments later, Julie shows up completely different, saying, I got to change the story, right? Like, and she was unable to change the story. It literally ties into what Ethan said. The hero's journey, talking about, his mother, right? His mother goes on this journey, right? Like, you keep getting these stories from Ethan about these quests and, monsters and all these different things. And then they all just kind of end up being the case. Right? And again, maybe it's not directly. Maybe he doesn't know. Like, he's not like tuned in and going like, oh, the spirits are telling me. Like, no, it could just be in a way kid talk where he's just a kid kind of just relaying what he knows from a story standpoint, from a kid standpoint. But it's stuff that, like I said, continues to reign true. And he just has this sense, very much like Victor. Right? Victor is the one that has this knowledge that he's trying to unlock. He's trying to unravel. Right? But he's also constantly just not fearful at all. Right? And look, I've talked about he's probably protected by the boy in white. But hey, who else was chosen by the boy in white? Oh, that's right. Ethan was. So the two main guys that have the knowledge, the two main guys that, were kids in this place, the two main guys that were chosen by the boy in white all have this connectivity. They're all two guys that, myself and many others have speculated that are the cause for this place, one way or another, right? Why wouldn't Ethan, again, have his own hero's journey, his own path, right? Why wouldn't he, Julie's the story walker? What if Ethan's the storyteller? Right? You have to be able to tell a story in order for somebody to view it. What if Ethan is this sort of storyteller? Not in the sense of like he created everything, but in the sense of like he's telling you how this story is unpacking, how this story is unfolding, what to expect, how things are going to come out. Like I said, he's kind of the narrator without being the narrator. You have a story walker. You have a mother who has been a integral part of the story since the very beginning. Somebody needs to tell that story. I think Ethan's the one that's telling that story. And I think in a lot of ways, just like Victor, I think that, Ethan very well might be protected to an extent to the boy in white. I mean, look, how did Victor survive all those years with no talisman and monsters? Like, I get he's a kid, he can hide in tight spaces and stuff like that, but this place sees everything, knows everything, right? Like, it's very odd unless, oh wait, he became best friends with the boy in white. Ethan is friends with the boy in white and has talked and has this connection with the boy in white. Why would the boy in white choose them? Oh, because they're kids just like he is, right? So, maybe Ethan is the reincarnated version of the boy in white, right? And there is like this connection, or maybe he's maybe he is, tied into this place in some capacity. Or like I said, maybe the storyteller really is the one that's responsible for all the stories. But clearly Ethan knows quite a bit. Again, whether it's directly or indirectly, Ethan is knowledgeable of steps and things that come in. He's not telling you like, oh, if you go in here, the monsters, like, it's not knowledge in the sense of like, hey, you need to go to the tower and and then jump out the third window and you'll be in the real world. Like, it's not knowledge in the sense of like, oh, well, how this happened or how that happened, right? Like, no, it's knowledge in the sense of like, he is relaying what this place is comprised of. You got these heroes, you got these monsters, you got these characters that are on missions and on paths, and the way that these paths work, right? Because he's very into that storytelling. He's very into kind of the book of it, and he's telling the story of the hero's journey. And you have the heroes, but you also have the monsters in those heroes' journey. You also have the dragon that you need to slay. You have those various things. I think Ethan is the one that's kind of relaying and helping to provide that information. So I think he's somebody that is worth kind of listening to more and really kind of take notice of the things that he says. Right? Like I said, think of who are the people behind this show. There are people that have a history of, oh, something is said or done in the beginning that ends up coming full circle. And I think Ethan is going to be that piece. I think Ethan is the one. Things that he's saying is the part that's going to come full circle. But as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you think, like, yes, Ethan is clearly connected in some way? Do you think it's directly? Do you think it's something where it's like, no, he has more knowledge than he's giving on? He might even be the reason behind all this stuff and everything that's going on? Or do you think, no, it's kind of indirectly, right? It's very innocent. It's very childlike, but it's still relaying the information that you need that is real for this story, right? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, either way, I would love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.